Hi, just want to thank everyone for attending our webinar today on Plant 3D Toolsets Overview with Autodesk Harold Monk. Myself, I'm Tony Chow, the National Team Lead at SolidCAD for our Infrastructure Solutions. Also speaking would be Harold Monk. Before we get started, I just want to provide with you a brief introduction of who SolidCAD is, who we are, what we do, and just a quick intro. For many of you who aren't aware of who SolidCAD is, we were founded in 1996 by Michael Kugan. In 1999, we merged with CAD Group to create SolidCAD CAD Group Incorporated and becoming an Autodesk reseller. In 2011, we acquired CAD Micro Solutions and was awarded the Platinum status by Autodesk. And then lately in 2017, SolidCAD and Cancel rebranded to become SolidCAD, a Cancel company. As of today, we are now the largest Canadian privately owned Autodesk Platinum provider, which employs close to 70 plus employees. So we specialize in the following industries and support multiple industries, including architectural, construction, engineering, civil infrastructure, manufacturing, media, and entertainment. What we do for our clients and what sets us apart is our services. First and foremost, training, BIM consulting, data management, technology workflow assessments, standard BIM services, customizations, product lifecycle management, events, just like today, and technical support. Besides Autodesk, we also provide partner and third-party products similar to Matterport, Leica Geosystems, Lumion, Building Systems Planning, Chaos Group, Bluebeam, Girofis, Fluidflow, Bluecello. One thing that's not mentioned on here is that we also do provide Vero scanners. As a Cancel company, we provide, as a national team, a professional software, hardware, and services to our clients. We specialize in three buckets within the Cancel company. First of all, geospatial engineering. We're the largest supplier of geospatial and engineering field equipment solutions. Second would be construction. We provide products and software for the construction industry that are designed to allow you to measure more accurately, measure faster, and move the data back to your office. And lastly, print. Cancel is a premier Canadian supplier to the AEC markets for all of your print requirements. SolidCAD, the Cancel company, we have training facilities all over Canada, 15 of them in fact, and each of these locations we have 11 training facilities across Canada. As part of our commitment back to our clients, we provide with technical support as a free to offer clients, which includes live technical support services for Autodesk software applications, installation support for standalones and network deployments, support for the Autodesk subscription website, and also assistance in contract and license consolidation services. For any questions regarding SolidCAD, you can reach myself, Tony Chow, National Team Lead. My email, tony.chow@solidcad.ca, or you can also speak to our dedicated plant specialist, Junaid Ahmad, at junaid.ahmad@solidcad.ca. Our contacts will also be provided with you after the webinar. However, any questions you have, feel free to reach out to myself or also leave a question in the webinar. So that's a bit about who SolidCAD is. You guys are in here today is for the webinar on Plant Solutions. I'm going to pass this back over to Harold.
Thank you, Tony. This is Harold Monk. I've been with Autodesk for 8 years. A little bit of my background, I spent quite a few years in the oil and gas industry. I was working with a couple engineering firms that you may know. I worked very closely with Jacobs Engineering for many, many years. Also with the Shaw Group and Chicago Bridge and Iron, where I managed software for them for the oil and gas industry. I was responsible for PDS, PDMS, CADWorks, AutoPlant, CAD Pipe, and many other functions that that these plant software solutions present to us as challenges. And I was put in charge of making sure that they run, specs were done, ISO gen was configured, and also be billable for 40 hours. And I tell people my daughter, my wife and my 3 daughters didn't give me the gray hair. That job did. So Autodesk approached me back in the year 2010 and asked me would I come on board and help them build some software for the oil and gas industry. And I actually turned them down at first. I just wanted to just work and go home in the evenings. I flew to California and I made one demand. I told them, I said, listen, as pipe designers and engineers, we have enough features and software. I need functionality. And they agreed to let some of us come in and talk and teach them a little bit about functionality and what we need in software. So what I'm going to show you today is 2019. You'll see P&ID. We're going to run through it about 10, 15 minutes. We're going to run through Plant 3D for a little bit. We'll make some ISOs, we'll create some orthos, and have some questions at the end. This is a live demo. This is not canned. Feel free to throw your questions our way so we can take a look at them and maybe answer some of them as we go through the demo. As you can tell by my accent, I am not from Canada. I live in between Baton Rouge, Louisiana and New Orleans, Louisiana, where most of the A&E show Swamp People is filmed. And yes, I do live in the subdivision with a couple of them, and they do not wear nothing but overalls. So with that, let's get into a little bit about the P&ID here. What you see on the screen is just a sample P&ID. If you notice across the top, I'm running Plant 2019 based on AutoCAD 2019. On the left-hand side, you will see the project manager, and I'll leave this open so you can watch what's happening. Let's see. On the right-hand side, you will see tool pallets, and you'll see we'll use some of these from time to time so you can see. Every once in a while, you'll see this box pop up on the screen. All I'm doing is hitting the right mouse button. And the reason we do that is if I touch an item like a tank and I hit the right mouse button, you'll notice it pulls up things like assign tag, annotate, for that piece of equipment. If I do it on, say if I did it on a piece of an instrument, you'll notice that it changes. So it only allows you to pick and choose what you need to edit. So you're not having to look for commands. So I can just right click on anything and actually get what I would like. For instance, if I want to do a pipeline, I just right click on the pipeline. Here's all the things that I can do with a pipeline in P&ID. And we did this because of one main reason is that we did a survey at Autodesk in 2010 of just how many people read manuals. And it came out that only 8% of the men read the Autodesk manual. If there's any ladies on the line, it was 13% for them. So we had to help you a little bit. So we actually put that in the program. So when you see this box pop up, I'm just hitting the right mouse button. So if you get lost, I'll point that out a couple of times of how I want to use some information. For instance, let's go create a drawing. So I'm just going to come over here to the project. I'm running just a simple project. It's got a couple P&IDs and some piping drawings in here. And I just right clicked and let's just create a new drawing. And we'll just call this one, we'll call it cancel. And so what will happen is I'm going to add a new P&ID to the project. And you'll see it pop up on the screen here. There we go. And we'll hit F7 to get let's get the grid off the screen. Come on. Oh, I got to hit the function cut. This is the new keyboards. Not a fan of the new keyboards. So anyway, let's go draw some equipment. You notice across the top that our tool palette is all set to three-dimensional pieces. Now, AutoCAD now runs what we call workspaces. So I can actually come down here on workspace and you'll have all these options. Of course, you can adopt and create your own workspace, but I want to draw P&IDs. And what will happen, it will automatically turn itself into a P&ID template system to where you'll notice now that the P&IDs, now here's the equipment, here's the valves and stuff for the P&ID. So all this stuff changes based on what you select. So let's go quickly, we'll throw some pieces on here. So we'll throw a pump on the drawing here. You'll notice when I place the pump in the drawing, it automatically asks me for a number. The project says that every piece of equipment has to have some type of identifier, P-? So we'll call this, we'll say P-400. We'll just call this 400. We can assign a tag. What I mean by assign a tag is what type of information would you put. We'll throw an information tag on the bottom. And you can see, oh goodness, that's there. You can see that the pump and now the equipment has a unique number to it. One thing I want you to really understand about this package, and I'm going to say this several times, this is not a third-party package. This is AutoCAD. Anything that you do in AutoCAD, you can do here. And to show that, I'm just going to type in the word copy. As you saw me type on the screen, I'm just going to say copy. I'm going to copy this pump. And we'll just drop it. We'll throw it right here. And you'll notice when I tell it to, that's where I want to copy the piece to, inside the data itself, inside project number 1, it says you already have a 400. And it will put a question mark there showing that you cannot have duplicate numbers inside of a project for P&IDs. So what we'll do is come here, and everybody know what properties box is? I can just have to come here and tell it to change that. There. What it has done, guys, is when I changed that number just by the edit command, it actually changed all the line list, it changed the equipment list and everything, even though I use free text. This is quite unique to AutoCAD because remember, this is AutoCAD. This is not a third-party package. So this data remains intact even when I use free text. Let's back up a little bit. Let's put a piece of equipment out here. Let's put a tower out here. Let's put something out here like this. And once again, it asks me, so we'll just throw a number out here, say 505. And we'll just drop the tag in, and we can. So that's how equipment gets placed in. The question always comes up is, what about equipment that does not that is not in our tool palette? So hang on a second, turn that. So what's not in our tool palette? So if I could do an insert of a block. Let's say that's something that you have. So we can go out to let's see. I had a person sent me a exchanger the other day. So I'm going to show you what he sent this to me and wanted to know. So there's an exchanger. So he wanted to know, this is straight block. If I do a list, you'll notice that this is strictly a straight block. Nothing special about it. It's just an AutoCAD block that he brought over from 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So remember the right click. So if I don't know what to do, I right click. I want to convert this into a P&ID object. You see here, I want to make it to a, let's see, I want to make it into a piece of equipment. I want to make it an exchanger, a double pipe exchanger. And now it is, you notice it has changed colors. It put it on the right layer. Now this block that had no information to it, now if you look at the properties box, you'll notice that it has completely given it design information. Here's the AutoCAD design information, and then here's all the technical documents behind the double pipe exchanger that has been added to the database for you to fill in. Very simple, very straightforward. Let's draw some pipelines right quick. So if I draw a pipeline, say from here to here, you'll notice that it automatically makes its changes for me. And I know this is not great design, guys. I'm just drawing something here. So know that I'm not even going to try to draw it wrong, and you'll notice it'll fix it for me. So if I try to draw it, let's go from here to there. That's good. And we'll go from this piece, and we'll stop it right there. That's good. There you go. So any questions, guys? What we did? I'm going to zoom in here so you could watch. So it automatically puts pipelines, I mean the flow arrows for us. It does remain intact. So if I actually need to do some grouping and moving around, if I need to move the exchanger, we'll move it over here. You'll notice that things do continue to move, keep associated together as I move things around. The greatest command AutoCAD ever made in his life is undo. I can undo all the way back, and it doesn't hurt the system at all. So that's a great feature to have. I just call it functionality because I've drawn many P&IDs and I need that reversed several times. Let's look at some valves. So we'll show you how valves work on the drawings. So we'll throw a valve on the line. Real quick, we'll throw one on the line, and we'll throw another one on the line here, just for giggles here, and we'll throw it on the line here. And you'll notice, I don't want a check valve, Harold. Let's put a check valve right there. And I'll erase this one. And you'll notice, just showing you quickly, the functionality to help you draw P&IDs are here. For instance, you'll notice I can move, grab, grip, doesn't matter to the system. Notice the check valve knows which way the flow goes. So if I right click and actually tell it to reverse the flow, for instance, let's see, let's do this right quick so you can see it. So if I actually come here and tell it to reverse the flow of that line, I'll quickly fix everything for you, put things in place, clean it up, and it's ready to go. So we can undo that back. There's also substitutions here. If I don't like this valve, I can actually say I don't like this one. Put the gate valve on there for me, so I don't have to have to fix things. So I can actually come here and say put a gate valve on this one, and I actually want to make this one say we'll say it's going to be car seal closed. And you notice all that's in here, so I'm not swapping valves out. Just tell me what you want to do here. So that's how this works. If I place, let's tag the line right quick, and we'll show you right quick. So if I want to assign a tag, what I mean about assign a tag is out of the box, this project says I need a size, spec, a service for the line, and a line number. So I can say, okay, well, let's make this line, we'll make this line 4-inch. We'll make the spec CS300, and the P&IDs are spec driven. So if you do have a spec called CS300, it actually starts assigning data to the valves and stuff that from the hard spec that's out there for the three-dimensional models can drive in here. What about a service? Here's a bunch of services. Just comes out of the ISA catalog, so you can make this change. You can actually make this small for your project. And we'll give it a line number. We'll call this one 1212. And so you notice the tag, you notice the components. Now, keep in mind, you could add to this whatever you would like. If you want insulation thickness, and all that kind of stuff, you could add this to it, which will allow you to truncate this line service, this line tag, whatever you want. So if I tell it to assign the tag, it'll actually ask me where you want to place it. So there's our tag. It knows if you want to place it in the line, that's fine. It automatically knows to cut the line and get it out the way. So, and if you notice down here, our valve down here is actually changed to a 4-inch. So if you look at the properties, you notice here that it knows the spec now and it knows the size, just because I changed the information on the line number. So if I actually say I don't like this as a 4-inch, I actually want to change this to a 6-inch. You notice everything gets changed accordingly. The question always comes out, what if there's a reducer in the line? Reducers work fine. I put the reducer, I put the size, it refines everything from that point. Just a few more minutes, so let's show you the data manager right quick. Everything that goes along, or everything that's going inside the P&ID, does have a data record inside of an Access database. For instance, if I just want to look at the equipment, so if I pick on equipment, you'll notice here's the equipment in my current drawing. And remember, we didn't give it data, we didn't give any information to that piece of exchanger, but I also can come up here and say, give me the whole project. Oops, sorry guys, the whole project. So here's all the equipment I see in the project. You could do a couple things right quick, and we won't do that right quick. I can actually come over here and renumber them. I can actually renumber it here by just clicking and right, and then it would go back and fix the numbers. Or I can actually send this whole set of data out to an Excel spreadsheet to fill in the data and send it back. So what you have here is a complete line list. So here's my line list that we have for it. So here would be our line list. So here's our line list. This is automatically generated from the model, from the P&IDs. So you have all this data here, and you can send it out to Excel, have someone fill in all the design temperatures and stuff, and then import it back into your drawing. Okay, so that's about it on the P&ID, because we want to move on real quick. And again, this is very simple, very straightforward. It was built just for the simplicity of P&IDs, but the data is all there. Even though it's straight AutoCAD, it's still a very powerful tool. So if you jump over into the piping package, I actually have a piping system drawn here, something I play with here. It's just a couple XREF files that you notice that the structural steel is XREF'd in from the advanced steel package. I have a collaboration model here that actually come from Revit. So all this stuff is being put into a piping drawing so I can draw piping around it. So I'm actually going to kick over and change myself back to a 3D workspace. So you notice I didn't have to get out of AutoCAD. I don't have to reboot or shut AutoCAD down and re-bring it back up. I notice I still have my P&IDs running up here at the top, and I also have the model running up here at the top, and it's not going to slow me down at all. So let's do the same thing here. Let's go draw some equipment. So I'm going to draw a piece of equipment real quick, and we'll just do this one here. So what I'm doing here is I can add a shape. I'm going to put a spherical head, a cylinder, another head, a head on the bottom, and then put legs. I can add trim, shape, however I want to do this here, and elevation, where I want to start it at. And we'll just go with the default. You see here, I'm looking at the defaults. Yeah, 16 foot tall. We'll make it 20 foot tall just for so that we tell it to create. So it actually will create the tank, place it on my crosshairs, and notice you'll see that there's our tank. Let's pick the nozzle up a little bit. So I'm just going to touch the nozzle. The little pencil comes up. I want to edit the nozzle. Oh, come on, Harold. There you go. And the nozzle says, okay, this nozzle, and it points at that nozzle right there, is a 4-inch flange, 300-pound ANSI ASME B16. And I want to actually move this height, change location. So let's move this height up to say 16 feet. You can change the nozzle projection if you want to. We'll change it to say 4 inches. And then we can close it. There you go. So there's our nozzle that we placed on there. And if you just touch the tank, it'll allow you to place as many nozzles as you want to using those simple tools, dialog box to place those. So there's our tank. So let's go throw a piece of centrifugal pump in here. So let's go throw a pump, centrifugal. And that's okay. We won't worry about going through this, but all this allows you to set up based on your data sheets that you have. So if you pick one of these components, it actually will show you the drawing itself of how to place them. So we'll tell it to create. We'll throw it on this line right here just for giggles here. We'll go this way. There we go. Now, we're going to draw a pipeline between here, these two pieces of equipment. There's a couple ways to go about this. One is just to draw it yourself. You can say, I want to set up a line number, I want to set up the spec. If there's a P&ID out there, you could actually reach over in the P&ID and pull the data out. Here's all the stuff here you can set for that. So if I actually pull up a line list, let's say I want to pull up, remember the line list we showed earlier? I actually want to pull up the line list. So I'm going to pull up cancel. Let's move this out a little bit. I only had one drawing. You see it right here. Here's our draw. Here's our line. We only identified one line in that P&ID. So here is the data on that line. So if I wanted to see, it tells you it's going from nozzle 2 on pump 400 to nozzle number 1 on TK05. It's got a gate valve on it. So all this data is here. So if I want to draw, remember I right click. So I tell it to place this item. And as I come down, you notice it grabbed it. It actually, let me zoom in here so you can see right here. It actually grabbed the nozzle of the pump, and I'm just going to say go out 24 inches. And I'm just using AutoCAD, the dimensional data, and then I want to go up, say 24 inches, and we'll stop right here for time being. Okay, you notice that it went into the spec, it grabbed the correct bolts, gaskets, and everything to do with it. It actually put a reducer on the line because it's a 4-inch line, because I never saved it in the other drawing. So the database says it's a 4-inch line, and we'll fix that in just a second. So actually it's creating me, so it actually bolted everything up. It went in the spec, pulled out all the correct components and bolted it up for me. We're just trying to make you as efficient as possible, and you not have to fight software to actually lay something to design. So I want to go to this nozzle right here from this pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch the pipe. You notice a little plus mark pops up. So I'm going to say I want to go from that pipe to that nozzle. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says I found, this is one of 4 ways to get there. So it kind of looked in the spec and figured out, okay, here's the components I got. This is how it's going to go together. So I can hit in for next, and let's see what we get. That's an interesting one. That's good, I guess. We'll do next. Let's do next one more. Let's do this one. All right, so I'm going to accept this one. I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to accept this idea of routing. And it only came up with this is because I only came 24 inches. If I had come up 10 foot with this pipe, it'd have made that change for me. So we'll accept this routing, and you'll notice it'll actually go in. Oops. It'll actually go in and make the changes for us. So now I've routed my pipe. Right now, this will get me probably written up for a tripping hazard. So let's do this. Let's match this. So I'm going to ID the top of the steel, 12'6". I'm just going to touch the pipe. And I don't know if you know much about the new dynamic displays in AutoCAD, but I can kick through these and see where it says bottom of pipe, 3.5 feet. Well, I'm going to say I want the bottom of pipe to be 12'6". So it makes the changes for me and fixes everything for me as we go into the system here. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay. Let's see. We got a valve we got to place. Okay, so let's go place the valve. So in the line list here, we got a valve. So I'll just say place this item, and it's coming from the P&ID. So my design team doesn't have to look a whole lot. It's already there because it's what it's built in the actual spec itself. You have things like substitutions. Remember how we substituted the valve in the P&ID? I can actually substitute things here. If I got multiple things in the spec, I may want a slip-on flange there, and things are taken are fixed for us real quick. I may want to change because of this handle may be too long, and I need a ball valve. So I actually can come in here and tell it, let's use a ball valve long pattern there. So these are all at your fingertips as you design. Remember, I told you we're trying to get functionality here, not necessarily features. I just want to be able to draw. For instance, if I want to come here and touch the elbow and come out with another piece of pipe, you'll notice that it automatically makes that adjustment for me, takes the elbow out, puts the T in there, cleans it all up for us. If I want to put, let's say I want to come on this pipeline and put let's put a 3/4 inch tap that we want to put some type of sample station on here. I can tell it to actually come in here, touch the pipe. I want to put a 3/4 inch tap off of here, and you'll notice that it automatically looked in your spec. Remember, specs mean something. It looks in the spec, grabs. You needed I think that's a sockelet if I'm not mistaken. So it pulls in the sockelet, taps it on the line, and you're ready to go. That's not physically tapping on the line. I can still move this guy. If I don't like it here, I can, it's fine. I can slide it around and it works great. If I want to make it 6 inches off of the weld here, I can do that also with the dynamic display dimensions. Quickly, we'll put always supports are always important. So let's go to put a pipe support. Lots of options here on pipe supports, guys. I've got more pipe supports in this package than I've ever seen. Give you an idea, if you don't like any of these, you can actually create your own block, and that's fine with us. The joke is at Autodesk that they put this in for us Cajuns in Southern Louisiana, because we go to Home Depot and just buy a block and we'll stick it under the pipe. So this is they put this in for us. But if I just want to put a welded a shoe on here, let me get this thing right. Come on, Harold. You notice it, even though it was a different size, when I did touch the pipeline, it knew to adjust the size for me. I'm not having to go back and do all that stuff. And yes, there is a record in the database for this component. It is tracked. See right here, all this data is tracked to shop and field, whether it's extended or not. And you can actually make adjustments on it. See right here, your dimensions, your height. So if I want to make the base 12 by 12, I can actually come in here and say, I want the S&L SW. I want this to be a 12 by 12. And let's say make the length, say, just 12 inches. Oops. So all this stuff is here, data. If that's not right and I want to eyeball it and I say I want this piece to be the same as the bottom of that, that works fine just as well. So all this is here for you to design inside the world of Plant. Very simple, very straightforward. It's not difficult at all. Remember, I told you what I was after was trying to put functionality back into Plant. I notice how many pull downs that I use, how many tool pallets that I have to use. I have placed everything that you need to design with at your fingertips. It's very straightforward. You also have a sloped calculation. You can actually draw it flat. Say I want to slope it at 1/2 degrees. It will actually slope all the piping for you. Let's see here. What else we want to do right quick before we start going off on ISOs. I'm watching my time. Let's go make some ISOs out of this line, just quickly, right quick. So what I've got here is a pipeline. We'll save it right quick. Let's do a save right quick on the model here. And then I'm gonna go make some ISOs. Now ISOs, for years I ran isogen for almost 35 years, believe it or not. I've been around that long. So I do have quite a bit of experience at running isogen. And so what we went out is took that concept and actually put it into an AutoCAD world, because isogen created, DWF files for AutoCAD. Well, why don't we just make something for AutoCAD? And this is what you're fixing to see here. It's got the same setup as you got, or the same properties that you run with an isogen. You can mark your reference columns, you can leave messages, you can put flow arrows, all this stuff. You can put stop points, break points. So we'll run one right quick and we'll make a production ISO. So here's the line that we have. It was a 1212. I have several different styles, and so I can say run me a final C size border, and there's an advanced tab here that's pretty cool that you actually can pull up and make changes to how you want to split this one drawing, whether you want distance offset. For instance, let's say that your monument mark is at 10,000, and you drew your model at 0, 0. You can actually put this distance in here and it'll actually make the adjustments for you so your ISOs are correct. Rotation, a lot of plants are not always at 0. Sometimes they're at 17.5 or 22.5. So I actually can put in here that I can draw the model straight and tell it I want the ISOs rotated at 22.5, so that it will be accurate on the ISO, so I don't have to worry about calculating all this stuff when I'm trying to draw the model. You can actually turn the north arrow a different direction for this one drawing if you want to. So I just tell it to create the ISO. It takes about 7 to 8 seconds per ISO. I've run, and you'll see it flashing down here in the bottom down here. It's telling you I'm running it in the background. So you can continue to draw and work inside the model, so it's not taking you out the model. And then to pull up here real quick. I ran a test the other day, about 3 weeks ago, on 300 ISOs, and took a matter of, I think, a little over 2 hours. It ran 300 ISOs for us to look through. Now, let's see what we got here. It'll pull up and tell us it's finished. There you go. Yeah, it is finished. So here's our ISO. So it's telling me it time stamps the ISO. This one took 39 seconds. It took a little longer. So let's go see because I think I put everything in here. For instance, yeah, see, everything's on this ISO. I have a weld chart at the bottom, a weld calculation, and the type of welds So if you want to do cost analysis on actually what it's going to cost you, here's a full bill of materials based on your spec. So this is the description that you have in the spec. Here's the sockelet that we placed in the flanges, the slip-on flanges and all. And it's based on, if you don't like this, the new tables that are in AutoCAD, if you don't like those, you can change those. But what you have here, guys, is a complete isometric of your drawing. And if you notice, it's very clean. We don't cross too many things unless we have to, just for clarification purposes. And it also is dynamic. So if I want to move something, I can move it and it stays intact, the flow arrows, because this actually uses your dimension variables. So if you actually have a dimension style that you want, you're welcome to use this, and it actually works very well. So let's make sure everything's here. There's our valve, there's our sockelet, there's all our dimension here, and here it tells you it's connected to the pump. 300. Let's see what we've got here. There we go. So there's the ISO, quickly extracted out of the box. Lots of ways to change this. We have a complete system to turn off and on what you don't want. There's some things here repeatable. For instance, if I run this ISO again, and this actually has 2 pages, it will actually give me the same identical 2 pages back when I run it the second time, because checkers don't like it when you run an ISO and it comes back different. So we actually set this thing up to where we're repeatable every time you run it. So let's go back and create an ortho right quick, because everybody likes orthos. So we'll just leave this and run it. So I'll go back to ortho. So let's get a place up here. I got a big place up here. We can cut these. Here we go. So let's cut an ortho right here real quick. So I'm going to create an ortho. Very simple here. I'm going to create a new draw view. We'll just give it my initials. And what it does, guys, it actually just pulls up a draw, kind of not a paper space, but it's actually new drawing. And it actually says, okay, here's your model that you're going to be working with here. See it? So here's our model. I can actually now go in and say, I need to add some pieces. I would like to add the, let's say I want to add the steel in this picture. So actually, so notice the steel popping. So you actually can go in and say, I want to turn off the piping. I just want to do a plan view of the equipment. I just want to do equipment layout. So I can pick and choose how I want to cut these views. I want to say I want to come from the, not the front, let's come, I mean from the top. So let's come from the front view. So you notice here, and then I'm just going to say I want to, let's cut a view between this column. Let's go to that column. We'll go to just that column right there. It's good. That's good. Just for, and then I want my scale to be 3/8 equals a foot. That's good. Here's hidden lines. Do you want hidden lines? I can say I want to hide lines. I want to hide all hidden lines. Just hide the piping lines and leave the equipment dash behind them. So you have, or you can just say no hidden lines. We'll just do that. And I'll tell it okay. And then it asks me where I would like to place it. Let's drop it right there. So what it's doing, it actually goes in and builds you a complete setup of what that model consists of. You see it? So there's our complete system. Now you notice it actually has a different drawing. It's not a tab here. It's its own DWG file. Now this DWG file you're looking at also has data. I can actually right click on this data and actually import in from the data. Now if I want to put a line list on here, I want to put the line size and what have you. Those are easy to do. Just by annotation here. I can touch the line and do the annotation. But what I want to show you is the main question comes up is, what if I do all that and somebody changes this piece? Well, let's go try that. So I'm going to go up here back to our drawing. Let's do this right quick. I'm going to just use my AutoCAD stuff. Let's make some changes here. Let's pull this in. Let's go put a valve in the line. Let's put a butterfly valve. That's good. We'll drop a butterfly valve in the line. We'll put the handle this way so somebody can reach way out there and get it. And we'll throw let's throw a T. No, that's not what I want to do. Undo. Let's put a T go this way. Let's put a T going out. And we'll continue, and then we'll make a drop. There, that's just something to look. So I've actually made a change here to the actual model while HGM is over here sitting as someone's already starting to annotate and clean up and ready. So what happens here? So if I save this model here, so let's go back and do a save. I have the ability, if you look at the orthographic drawings here, it will tell me, so here's HGM. So let me pull it here so you can see it. I can say validate my orthos. For instance, let's say once a week, all the changes that are made, validate those guys that's been drawing. You can say update those views. If there's been a change to the model, go update everything out there that I want to see. Update annotation. You change the line number, go fix the line numbers for me. So I sometimes do it here, but I've been accused of using slide before. So what I'm going to do is actually go back to this drawing, and you'll notice this drawing's incorrect. But there's an update view right here. It's the same command in the other one. So I'm just going to run it from here so you can actually watch what happens. It actually will go in, make the changes that it sees it needs to make, and completely redo my drawing, clean it up, fix it, and I'm ready to go. But this is, like I said, this is not a tab in paper space. This is actually its own DWG file. And once I'm in here, I can do a lot of things. I can put bill of materials here. I can tag it if I would like. If I want another view, for instance, let's take the adjacent view of this guy, and I want to say I want to use the top view and drop it right here. So I can actually cut all these views and at any time and set these up. There you go. So I can set these up as I'm drawing, and it works very well. And how it works. This is a completely flat drawing. If you want to send this to your client, you're welcome to. It is a complete, simple, flat AutoCAD DWG file. You do have control over the layering structure if you want. If your client is requesting that center lines are on a layer called center line instead of CL, that's fine. You want equipment on equipment layer and they're red, that's fine. This is just a setup. This is just the way it comes out of the box. So you can completely set this up and change however you want to run this guy. So quickly, let's go back through here again. This is very simple, very straightforward. And one thing I wanted to touch real quick is about the equipment. This piece of equipment here, guys, I drew as from our equipment generator or the dialog box. This piece of equipment here, I actually drew it in AutoCAD. I actually pulled it up in AutoCAD Solid. I actually changed my workspace here to AutoCAD Solid, and I drew it in AutoCAD Solids. And there's a function here that just says, modify the equipment, attach equipment, convert equipment. When I mean convert equipment, I can bring in any custom object, doesn't matter what it is, and tell it you are a piece of equipment. For instance, like fin fan units, compressors. These things are all custom built. So you draw an AutoCAD, guys, and I'll just say, okay, that's fine. I'll take that as a piece of equipment. You just show the nozzles for me. So that works fine. And the other way is if you're using an Inventor or you've got people use SolidWorks and that kind of stuff, fine. They can be imported in here just as well, and you just start drawing off of those pieces. So quickly, guys, that is Plant in about 45 minutes, and I want to give you guys plenty of time to ask questions for us. Let me see. So the question here says, let me back up here. It says, I have a slide to show that Plant 3D is included. Yes, it is. That is something new for 2019. Prior to 2019, you would purchase AutoCAD, and then you would purchase a seat of Plant to run on top of AutoCAD. Starting in 2019, when you get your AutoCAD license, you have access to download Plant and P&ID for free. We have just, since it's inside the AutoCAD kernel, it was getting a little too, not complicated, but it was getting a little difficult to maintain the AutoCAD code for Plant and the AutoCAD code for AutoCAD. So it was made a decision in 2019 that it is the same code, so you will have access to it. So if you buy 2019 or subscribe, I'd say buy, but when you subscribe to get 2019, you automatically have access to getting Plant and P&ID for free. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Going to have any other questions here? I can open it up to Tony or Gina for questions.
Yeah, so Junaid's going to start answering one question we have. Here, Harold, just give me 1 second.
Sure, okay, great.
Junaid, if you just want to unmute yourself, you can answer the question I already forwarded you from Vladimir. Sorry, guys, just give us 1 second.
While we're waiting right now, Harold, could you send your desktop back to my screen? Yeah, so while we're waiting for Junaid, as we wrap up, just to make everyone aware that at SolidCAD, we provide Plant 3D training. We have two types of training, Plant 3D Intros and Plant 3D Intermediate. All of this can be found on our website. And all of these courses are or can be used toward the Canadian government grants for training. So if any questions you have on this, definitely reach out to our team. And as Harold mentioned earlier, Plant 3D has been repackaged within the Autodesk portfolios. So they're providing both the AutoCAD Toolset and also the AEC Collections. So you guys might have missed my last screen, but here's a quick blurb about our training courses, which are all provided on our website, introductions and intermediate courses. And also Plant 3D is included in both options. Many of you here who are attending may already have this. Feel free to reach out to us and we can share a few more. With that said, Junaid, are you able to answer the question? If not, we could always answer the question after this call. Here's our contacts for anyone with any further questions for myself and Junaid. And definitely today I want to thank Harold Monk from Autodesk for presenting this webinar. This is the first of our Plant 3D webinars. Today is more of an intro. We plan to provide more advanced topics so we can start nurturing and also providing more information to our plant clients. With that said, is there any further questions? Mark, Harold? Well, thank you everyone for attending. And again, thank Harold. And that's a wrap for us.